During the last month of the formation of current political crisis, there has been a lot of blame game to the international community, especially towards India. Interestingly, this time has coincided with India's election. How will the formation of new Indian government affect or impact the current situation in the future, maybe in a month or two?
As for India's new government I'm sure they're going to review, because it's much of India's failure also on its Nepal policy. After all, it was India which brought seven pro-democracy parties and Maoists, which underground outfit together on the anti-king agenda. But I don't think they didn't think beyond what after the monarchy is removed. Right. That's a crisis. And two, India also failed in its moral obligation to make an objective assessment of the peace process and behavior of different players, including the Maoists. They failed there. But more than that, it's India, India's role, and President or Maoist party saying that India has been meddling in Nepal's internal affair. As far as I understand, Maoist party's stance on India or America is no different from in 1997 when they started the insurgency. For tactical reasons, they may have adopted a policy of silence towards all those kind of activities. But if there is any, it's a very alarming thing. I'm not saying that there is no foreign interference. But what did Prachanda, as the Prime Minister, do to form a national consensus on reducing or minimizing or challenging this kind of activities or interference from outside quarters? They didn't do it. But let me also say that these past 3 years have been a phase where the involvement of outside forces in issues which are essentially domestic ones was the maximum. It was with the deliberate and willful invitation of these political parties, including the Maoists, that this situation continued. I agree with the interference of the foreign forces, but I'm only questioning the honesty of the Maoist party and Prachanda. Why have they brought this issue now? Why have they raised this issue now? Why didn't they consult any of the political parties about the need to that let's create a situation where Nepalese decide on Nepal's internal matter, and that we reduce our dependence on external community.
Recently, Prachanda's tape was released where he has spoken to a great deal about his future policies to boost the morale of the People's Liberation Army cadres. Maybe that boosted the morale of the PLA members, but it clearly didn't give a good message to the citizens of Nepal who are here and abroad.
It's clearly an act of deceit, a dual game on the peace process, telling his cadres that our joining the peace process and democracy is only tactical. Whereas, he would say publicly to the diplomatic community and Nepali media and civil society and, other political parties that, our cadres have a background of having been trained, for armed insurgency, but please don't doubt our, commitment to the peace process. It's a it's a dangerous game where Prachanda stands thoroughly discredited. And there he tells his cadre to divert the fund meant for maintenance, of the cantonments and the cadre for buying arms, to derail the Constituent Assembly election, which was only 3 months away then, because it was January and April elections were to take place. He asked them to derail and terrorize the rival candidates, and and he also discredits United Nations mission to Nepal, UNMIN, saying that we got UNMIN to verify and certify our cadre with just 7,000, it was a much higher number, which is now, I think this is also for UNMIN to come out clean on the issue, because if UNMIN fails in doing that, the conflict-ridden countries, not only Nepal, but other countries will also seriously doubt whether to trust UN, a world body, and invite them in this kind of conflict management issues.
Now, various political parties have proposed the UNMIN to do the re-verification of the PLA. At the same time, there has been a conflict between the Maoists' leadership and the Nepal army. Now, how will that complicate the army integration issue, which has been lying there for 3 years now?
The issue of the reintegration of the combatants in the Nepal army is something that all-party special committee headed by the Prime Minister, that was Prachanda, was looking into. So it was clearly political. When that committee was, hasn't even come out with its recommendation, for them to keep raising this integration issue was a political, game. That is one. But on the question of UNMIN, it was the understanding between Nepal government then and the Maoists as rebel forces. They had invited them. So I don't know whether verification is possible or not possible, but UNMIN has to convince Nepal army and the general people in Nepal that it was not biased towards the Maoists. We really don't know what are the level of access given to the Nepal army in that joint verification committee. Yes, there were people from the PLA and there were people from representatives from the Nepal army also. But we need to know now, what was the level of access or involvement of Nepal army in that verification process. UNMIN has also not so far clarified what happened to initially, Maoists gave a list of 31,000 people registered. We really don't know because, what happened to other 8,000 people who were missing between the time of registration and verification. We want to be sure as Nepalese that those 8,000 don't pose any, threat to the future process and that, they are benignly, not associated with the Maoist activities.
We lost 13,246 lives. Millions of Nepalese were displaced from their hometowns. And the economic crash during the decade-long conflict. We still forgive the Maoists or the government for the civil war they brought because we felt that would at least lead to the peace process. But from the tape where Prachanda has spoken to his PLA members, it's clear that the revolution was not based on blindfold ideology or patriotism. It was based on some complicated financial calculations. How do we justify this loss?
The basis of Prachanda or the Maoist party coming to the peace process is their public admission that we came to conclusion that we were nowhere near, controlling the power of the government through bullets. So we genuinely believe in democratic process and peace process. So, we are here to seek people's mandate. Let's hope that was still an honest statement on behalf of a political party which was responsible for, raising the arms against the state and also responsible for the loss of, more than 13,000 lives and, destruction of property in billions. And that also resulted in the retardation of the, economic progress of the country. Its only way to address that, fear and uncertainty now is to hope that these players will somehow demonstrate minimum honesty to implement the peace process and that they will provide an effective government which will work well within the framework of the comprehensive peace agreement and the code of conduct formulated. We cannot undo what has already been happened. And but if Prachanda believes that this is only a tactical move to join the peace process, then I don't think he that his political life will be very short-lived. I don't think any quarter in Nepal will accept that.
We'll continue with our conversation after a short break. Do stay with us.